This is Henry IV, Part 1, like a page into Act 1, Scene 2. Thou sayest well, and it holds well too, for the fortune of us that are the moon's men doth ebb and flow like the sea, being covered as the sea is by the moon. As for proof now, a purse of gold most resolutely snatched on Monday night, and most dissolutely spent on Tuesday morning, got a swearing, lay by, the night crying, bring in, now in as low an ebb as the foot of the ladder, and by as high a flow as the ridge of the gallows. By the Lord, thou sayest true, lad, and not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench. By the Lord, thou sayest true, lad, and is not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench. As the honey of Hybla, my old lad of the castle, my old lad of the castle, and is not the buff jerkin a most sweet robe of durance? How now, mad wag, what in thy quips and thy quiddities? Quips and thy quiddities. What a plague have I to do with a buff jerkin, which is a leather military jacket, in case you were wondering? Why, what a pox have I to do with my hostess of the tavern? Well, thou hast called her to do a reckoning many a time and oft. Did I ever call thee to pay thy part? No, I'll give thee thy due, thou hast paid all there. Yea, and elsewhere so far as my coin would stretch, and where it would not, I have used my credit. Yea, and so used it that were it not here apparent that thou art heir apparent, but I prithee, sweet wag, shall there be a gallows standing in England when thou art king? And resolution thus fubbed it is with a rusty curb of old Father Antic the law. Do not thou, when thou art king, hang a thief. No, thou shalt. Shall I? O rare, by the Lord, I'll be a brave judge. Thou judgest falsely already. I mean thou shalt have a hanging of the thieves, and so become a rare hangman. Well, Hal, well, and in some sort it jumps with my humor as well as waiting in the court, I can tell you. For abstaining of suits? Yea, for abstaining of suits, whereof the hangman hath no lean wardrobe. So blood, I am as melancholy as a gib cat or a lugged bear. Whatever that means. Or an old lion or a lover's lute. Yea, or the drone of a Lincolnshire bagpipe. What sayest thou to a hare or the melancholy of Moorditch? Thou hast the most unsavory similes, and art indeed the most comparative rascaliest sweet young prince. But Hal, I prithee trouble me no more than vanity. I would to God thou and I knew where a commodity of good names were to be bought. An old lord of the council rated me the other day in the street about you, sir, but I marked him not, and yet he talked very wisely, but I regarded him not, and yet he talked wisely, and in the street too. Thou didst well, for wisdom cries out in the street, but no man regards it. Oh, thou hast damnable iteration, and art indeed much to corrupt a saint. Thou hast done much harm to me, Hal. God forgive thee for it. Before I knew thee, Hal, I knew nothing, and now am I, if a man could speak truly, a little better than one of the wicked. I must give over this life, I will give it over, by the Lord, and I do not, I am a villain. I'll be damned for never a king's son in Christendom. Where shall we take a purse tomorrow, Jack? Zounds, where thou wilt, lad, I'll make one. And I do not call me villain and baffle me. I see a good amendment in life in thee, from praying to purse taking. Why, Hal, 'tis my vocation, Hal. 'Tis no sin for a man to labor in his vocation. Enter Poins. Poins, now shall we know if Gadshill have set a match. Oh, if men were to be saved by merit, what hole in hell were hot enough for him? This is the most omnipotent villain that ever cried, stand to a true man. Good morrow, Ned. Good morrow, sweet Hal. What says Monsieur Remorse? What says Sir John Sack and Sugar? Jack, how agrees the devil and thee about thy soul that thou soldest him on Good Friday last for a cup of Madeira and a cold cappoon's leg? Sir John stands to his word, the devil shall have his bargain, for he was never yet a breaker of proverbs, he will give the devil his due. You hear things. Apologies. Good morrow, Ned. Good morrow, sweet Hal. What says Monsieur Remorse? What says Sir Jack Sack and Sugar? Jack, how agrees the devil in thee about thy soul, that thou soldest him on Good Friday last for a cup of Madeira, not defined, and a cold capon's leg. Sir John stands to his word, the devil shall have his bargain, for he was never yet a breaker of proverbs, and he will give the devil his due. Then thou art damned for keeping thy word to the devil, else he hath been damned for cozying the devil. That's a good point. That is a good point. He makes a good point. But my lads, tomorrow morning by 4 o'clock early at Gad's Hill, there are pilgrims going to Canterbury with rich offerings, and traders riding to London with fat purses. I have visitors for you all. For your visage, I presume. You have horses for yourselves. Gad's Hill lies tonight in Rochester. I have bespoke supper tomorrow in Eastcheap. We may do it as secure as sleep. If you will go, I will stuff your purses full of crowns. If you will not, tarry at home and be hanged. Fair enough. Hear you, Edward. If I tarry at home and go not, I'll hang you for going. Will you, Chops? How wilt thou make one? Who I rob? I a thief? Not I, by my faith. There's neither honesty, manhood, nor good fellowship in thee, nor thou cam'st not of the blood royal, if thou darest not stand for 10 shillings. There's neither honesty, manhood, nor good fellowship in thee, nor thou cam'st not of the royal blood, if thou darest not stand for 10 shillings. Well then, once in my days, I'll be a madcap. Why, that's well said. Well, come what will, I'll tarry at home. Slay. Well, come what will, I'll tarry at home. By the Lord, I'll be a traitor then when thou art king. I care not. Sir John, I prithee thee, the prince and me alone. I will lay him down such reasons for his adventure that he shall go. Well, God gave thee the spirit of persuasion, and him the gift of Well, God gave thee the spirit of persuasion, and him the ears of profiting, and what thou speakest may move, and what he hears may be believed, and that the true prince may, for recreation's sake, prove a false thief, for the poor abusers of the time want continence. Farewell, you shall find me in Eastcheap. Farewell, thou latter spring. Farewell, all hallow summer. Falstaff exits. Now, this is Poins and Prince Hal. Now, my good sweet honey lord, ride with us tomorrow. I have a jest to execute that I cannot manage alone. Falstaff, Pepto, Bardolph, and Gad's Hill shall rob those men that we have already waylaid. Yourself and I will not be there, and when they have the booty, if you and I do not rob them, cut this head off from my shoulders. How shall we part with them in setting forth? If when you have the booty, if you and I do not rob them, cut this head off from my shoulders. Why, we will set forth before or after them, and appoint them a place of meeting, wherein it is our pleasure to fail, and then we will adventure upon the exploit themselves, which they shall have no sooner achieved, but will set upon them. But 'tis like that they will know us by our horses, by our habits, by every other appointment to be ourselves. Tut, or horses they shall not see, I'll tie them in the wood. Our vizards we will change after we leave them, and Sarah, I have buckram for the nonce to amask our noted outward garments. Oh, a familiar form of sir, old cloths for the occasions. Wonderful. But I doubt they will be too hard for us. Well, for 2 of them, I know them to be as true-bred cowards as ever turned back, and for the 3rd, if he fight longer than he sees reasons, I'll forswear arms. The virtue of this jest will be the incomprehensible lies that this same fat rogue will tell us when we meet at supper, how 30 at least he fought with, what wars, what blows, what extremities he endured, and in the reproof of that lives the jest. Oh, when you know the plot already, this makes a lot of sense. Well, I'll go with thee. Provide us all things necessary, and we'll meet tomorrow night in Eastcheap. There I'll sup. Farewell. Farewell, my lord. Coins exit. Prince remains. Prince Hal. Okay. I know you all, and will a while uphold the unyoked humor of your idleness. Yet herein will I imitate the sun, who doth permit the base, contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from the world, that when he pleases him slowly and with attention. I know you all, and will a while uphold the unyoked humor of your idleness. Yet herein will I imitate the sun, who doth permit the base, contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from the world, that, when he pleases again to be himself, being wanted, he may be more wondered at by breaking through the foul and ugly mists of vapors that did seem to strangle him. If all the years were playing holidays, to sport would be tedious as to work, and when they seldom come, they wished for come, and nothing pleases but rare accidents. So when the loose behavior I throw off, and pay the debt I never promised, and how much better than my word I am, by so much shall I falsify men's hope, and like bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation, glittering o'er my fault, shall show more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off. So I'll offend to make offensive a skill, redeeming time while men think I least will. Slay, by the way. I did the same things with my grades this semester. Scene 3. The King, Northumberland, Worcester, Hotspur, and Sir Walter Blunt, and others. King to crew. My blood hath been too cold and temperate, unapt to stir at these indignities, and you have found me, for accordingly you tread upon my patience. But be sure I will henceforth rather be myself, mighty and to be feared, than my condition, which hath been smooth as oil, soft as young down, and therefore lost the title of respect, which the proud soul ne'er pays but to be proud. I can hear people moving, because I'm in my college lounge, on my college dorm floor. My blood hath been too cold and temperate, too unapt to stir at these indignities. You have found me accordingly, you tread upon my patience, but be sure I will henceforth rather be myself, mighty and feared, than my condition heard. Our house, my sovereign liege, little deserves the scourge of greatness to be used on it, and that same greatness, too, which our own hands have helped to make so poorly. Why not just put helped or help? Why help? What is that? HOLP, which means helped. Thank you, Shakespeare, for being old as fuck and writing funny. My lord, Worcester, get thee gone, for I do see danger and disobedience in thine eyes. O sir, your presence is too bold and peremptory, and majesty might never yet endure the moody frontier of a servant brow. Valid. You have good leave to leave us. When we need your use and counsel, we shall send for you. He exits. You are about to speak? Yeah, my lord, these prisoners in your highness' name demanded, which Harry Percy where to Holmdon took, where, as he says, not with such strength denied, as either delivered to your majesty, either envy therefore, or prison is guilty of thy fault, and not my son. So they said, I'm looking at a character list so that I remember who everyone is. Okay, this is, yeah. Henry Percy. This is Hotspur's is young Henry. And his father. And his father says, it is those prisoners in your highness name the man with Cherry Percy here alone took. He, as he says, not such strength to the rigidity. Either envy or misprision and guilty of fault is. So he's saying, we didn't do it. Okay. Oh, my liege, I did not deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fright was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped, showed like a stubble land at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner, and twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ever and anon he gave his nose and took it away again. Who therewith angry, when it came next there, took it in snuff, and still he smiled and talked. As the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he caught them untaught knaves, unmannerly, to bring a sovereignly unhandsome course betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms, he questioned me, amongst my rest demanded my prisoners in your majesty's behalf. I then, all smarting with my wounds being cold, to be so pestered by a popinjay, out of my grief and my impatience, answered, neglectingly I know not what, he should or he should not, for he made me mad, to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet, and talk like a waiting gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds, God save the mark, and telling me the sovereignest thing on earth was parmacity for an inward bruise. And that it was a great pity, so it was, that this villainous saltpeter should be digged out of the bowels of the harmless earth, which many a good tall fellow had destroyed, so cowardly, and but for these vile guns, he would himself have been a soldier. His bald, unjointed chat of his, my lord, I answered indirectly, as I said, and I beseech you, let not his report become current for an accusation betwixt my love and your high majesty. The circumstances considered, my good my lord, whatever Lord Harry Percy then said to such a person and in such a place, at such a time, with all the rest foretold, may reasonably die and never rise. To do him wrong, or in any way impeach what then he said, he unsay it now. Why yet he doth deny his prisoners, but with proviso and exception, that we at our own charge shall ransom straight his brother-in-law, the foolish Mortimer, who, on my soul, hath willingly betrayed the lives of those that he did lead to fight against the great magician, damned Glendower, whose daughter, as we hear, that Earl of March hath lately married. Shall our coffers then be emptied to redeem a traitor home? Shall we bury treason and indent with fears when they have lost and forfeited themselves? No, on the barren mountains let him starve, for I shall never hold that man my friend, whose tongue shall ask me for 1 penny cost to ransom the revolted Mortimer. Revolted Mortimer never did fall off my sovereign liege, but by the chance of war. To prove that true, needs no more but 1 tongue for all those wounds, those mouthed wounds, which valiantly he took, when on the gentle Severn city bank, in single opposition hand to hand, he did confound the best part of an hour, and charging hardiment with great Glendower. 3 times they breathed, and 3 times did they drink, on pawn agreement of swift Severn's flood, who then affrighted with their bloody looks, ran fearfully among the trembling reeds, and hid the crisp head in the hollow bank. Blood-stained with these valiant combats, never did bare and rotten policy color her working with such deadly wound, nor never could the noble Mortimer receive so many and all willingly, then let him not be slandered with revolt. Thou dost beguile him, Percy, thou dost beguile him. He never did encounter with Glendower. I tell thee he durst as well met the devil alone as own Glendower for an enemy. Art thou not ashamed? But, Sarah, henceforth let me not hear you speak of Mortimer. Send me your prisoners with the speediest means, or you shall hear in such a kind of me as will displease you. Meesvug. My lord Northumberland, we license your departure with your son. Send us your prisoners, or you will hear of it. And then the king leaves with his posse. Hotspur. As if the devil come in a roar for them, I will not send them. I will after straight and tell him so, for I will ease my heart, albeit I make a hazard of my head. What drunk with Collier? Stay and pause a while. Here come your uncle. Speak of Mortimer, zounds I will speak of him, and let my soul want mercy if I do not join with him. Ye on his part, I'll empty all these veins, and shed my dear blood drop by drop in the dust, but I will lift the downtrod Mortimer as high in the air as this unthankful king, and as ingrate and cankered Bolingbroke. Brother, the king hath made your nephew mad. Who struck this heat up after I was gone? He will forsooth have all my prisoners, and when I urged the ransom once again of my wife's brother, then his cheek looked pale, and on my face he turned an eye of death, trembling even at the name of Mortimer. I cannot blame him. Was not he proclaimed by Richard that dead is the next of blood? He was, I heard the proclamation, and then it was the unhappy king who wrongs us in God's pardon, did set forth upon Irish expedition, from whence he, intercepted, did return to be deposed and shortly murdered. And for whose death we in the world wide live scandalized and foully spoken of. But soft, I pray you, did King Richard then proclaim my brother Edmund Mortimer heir to the crown? He did, myself I hear it. Nay, then, I cannot blame his cousin king that wished him on the barren mountain starve. And shall it be that you that set the crown upon the head of this forgetful man, and for his sake wear the detested blot of murderous subornation? Shall it be that you in a world of curses undergo, being the agents or base second means, the cords, the ladders, or the hangman rather? O pardon me that I descend so low, to show the line and the predicament wherein you range under the subtle king. Shall it for shame be spoken in these days, or Philip the chronicles in time to come, that men of your nobility and power did gauge them both in unjust behalf? Both of you, God pardon it, have done to put down Richard, that sweet, lovely rose, and plant this thorn, this canker, Bolingbroke. And shall it in more shame be further spoken that you are fooled, discarded, and shook off by him for whom these shames you underwent? No, yet time serves wherein you may redeem your banished honors and restore yourselves into the good thoughts of the world again. Revenge the jeering disdain, contempt of the proud king, who studies day and night to answer all the debt he owes you, even with the bloody payment of your deaths. Therefore I say, peace, cousin, say no more, and now I will unclasp a secret book, Slay, and to your quick conceiving discontents I'll read you matter deep and dangerous, full of peril and adventure spirits, as to o'erwalk a current roaring loud on the unsteadfast footing of a spear. The scene goes on quite a bit, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much.